Good morning all. In the last class we have discussed different factors affecting diffusion, different kinds of diffusion process, the classification of the diffusion and also the various types of diffusion mechanisms. And also we have discussed the terminologies or the terms which are associated with the diffusion, which includes the diffusion coefficient or the diffusivity, the concentration gradient, the diffusion flux, etc. In this class we will be discussing two laws which governs the diffusion process. The first one is the Fick's first law of diffusion and second one is the Fick's second law of diffusion. So we'll start with the first law, which is the Fick's first law of diffusion, which is also called as steady state diffusion equation or steady state diffusion law. So Fick's first law is also called as steady state diffusion and it is defined for the steady state flow. Okay, in the last class we have discussed the steady state diffusion as well as the non-steady state diffusion. So steady state diffusion, it means in steady state diffusion process the concentration gradient remains constant, which means the concentration gradients will not vary with time. In the unsteady state or the non-steady state diffusion process, the concentration gradient will depends upon time, which means when we are moving from one region to another, the concentration gradient will change, okay, with respect to distance when the time varies. Okay, so the first law is the Fick's first law of diffusion, which is defined for steady state diffusion process. Okay, first we will discuss the statement. The Fick's first law of diffusion states that the diffusion flux is directly proportional to the concentration gradient. So in the last class we have discussed, when we discussed the terminology of the diffusion, we have defined that the diffusion flux, which is denoted by J, it actually represents the number of atoms or the mass of the species which is diffusing through an unit cross-sectional area per unit time. So actually the diffusion flux, it accounts for the number of atoms which is diffusing an unit area under unit time. So according to the Fick's first law of diffusion, these atoms per unit area per unit time, it is proportional to the concentration gradient. So by Fick's first law, we know the concentration gradient, normally we used to denote J, it is proportional to the concentration gradient, and that by the statement of or by the formula for the diffusion flux, we know J or the diffusion flux, it is actually 1 by A dn by dt, where A is the cross-sectional area, dn by dt actually represents the number of atoms which is diffusing per unit time through that particular cross-sectional area. So when we are equating that particular value 1 by A dn by dt, we can say 1 by A dn by dt is equal to d times dc by dx, where d actually represents the diffusion coefficient, or which actually converts that constant of proportionality, and dc by dx actually represents the concentration gradient, or we can say the rate of change of concentration or the change in concentration with respect to change in distance. Not the rate of change of concentration, it is the change in concentration with respect to the change in distance. So actually the J or the diffusion flux is equal to 1 by A dn by dt is equal to d times dc by dx. We are putting a negative signs in the equation. This is because the movement of the atoms or the mass transportation phenomena due to diffusion, it is always down the concentration gradient. So it is moving from higher concentration to lower concentration. In order to denote that, we are putting a negative sign. So we can say J equal to minus d dc by dx. So now we are rearranging these equations. When we are rearranging this equation, we are placing that area to the right hand side. We can say dn by dt or is equal to minus dA dc by dx. dn by dt is equal to minus dA dc by dx, where dn by dt actually represents the number of atoms which is moving a unit through that cross-sectional area at that particular moment, and A actually represents the cross-sectional area, D actually represents the coefficient of diffusion, or the we also call it as diffusivity, and dc by dx actually represents the concentration gradient, which is actually the statement for Fick's law. So we are expressing it in the terms of an equation where dn by dt is equal to minus dA dc by dx, or we can say the number of atoms diffusing is directly proportional to the concentration gradient or the diffusion flux is proportional to the concentration gradient, which is Fick's first law of diffusion. So the negative sign is because the mass transportation phenomena is taking place down the concentration gradient. So dN by dt represents the number of atoms crossing the area per unit time, and A represents the cross-sectional area, D is the diffusivity, dC by dx is the concentration gradient. Okay. So next we will be discussing the Fick's second law for diffusion. We have discussed, or we have mentioned, that the Fick's first law of diffusion, it is for the steady state diffusion process, whereas Fick's second law of diffusion, it is for the non-steady state processes. So when we are considering the Fick's first law of diffusion, when we are considering a particular medium or a particular volume of material, if we are moving down this particular volume, we can say the concentration gradient remains constant. So every region, the whenever we are moving down the distance, the concentration gradient remains constant, or the concentration profile remains constant. It will not vary with temperature, but not temperature, with respect to the time. So concentration gradient is irrespective of time. It will not vary with respect to time. But in the case of non-steady state diffusion, the concentration gradient will vary with respect to the time. So there will be a change in the concentration profile, as well as there is a change in the concentration, the slope of the concentration gradient, or we can say the concentration gradient will vary when the time varies. Okay. So in this case, if you are considering a volume, the diffusion flux will actually vary from one region to another. So at the starting, for example, if you are considering a particular piece of material of a unit volume, and if you are defining the volume as, like, if we are having a linear wise the distance as delta x and other dimensions as unity, we can say it is having a unity area and it is having a length of delta x. So the total volume will be 1 into delta x, which is equal to delta x. So when we are considering the one surface, or the starting leftmost surface, and the diffusion flux at that particular cross section will be Jx. For the convenience, if we are considering Jx, when we are moving down this delta x distance, the diffusion flux will vary. So also we can, otherwise in other terms we can say, if we are considering the other end of the particular cross section, the diffusion flux Jx plus delta x, which will be having a different value than the Jx. But in the case of steady state diffusion, if we are considering the both side, the diffusion flux will be having the same value. It will be having the same value at the left end, and also it will be having the same value at the right end. Okay, it will not vary as we are moving through this particular delta x distance. Okay, so in many real situations, we can say the concentration profile or the concentration gradients will be changing with respect to time, which means it will be a non-steady state diffusion condition. So the change of concentration profile can be described by the terms of a differential equation, which is called as Fick's second law. By the actual statement, it states that the Fick's second law states the rate of accumulation of the concentration within a volume is proportional to the curvature of the concentration gradient, or square of the diffusion gradient. This curvature actually represents the square of the diffusion gradient. Okay, so which means if there is a change in the concentration gradient, it means that there is an accumulation of concentration within the material. Okay, when we are moving from one region to another. So Fick's second law actually represents this change in concentration, or this rate of accumulation of the concentration. It is proportional to the square of the diffusion concentration gradient, or it is proportional to the curvature of the concentration gradient, which is the statement for the Fick's second law of diffusion. Next we will discuss the expression for this particular statement, which is the Fick's second law of diffusion. For the convenience, we are considering, as I earlier mentioned, we are considering a particular cross section of unity cross sectional area and delta x as the length, and the diffusion flux at left end surface is Jx, and the diffusion flux at the end or the outlet, which will be Jx plus delta x. So the rate of accumulation of the diffusing species, or the rate of accumulation of the diffusing species, in the sense the atoms which is diffusing through this cross section, which will be represented by dou C by dou T times delta X, where dou C by dou T actually represents the change in concentration with respect to change in time. So it is a non-steady state diffusion process, so the concentration will vary with time. This particular variation of the concentration with respect to time, it is represented by dou C by dou T, and when it is multiplied by delta X, or the distance, we will get the rate of accumulating diffusion species, or rate of atoms which is stored inside the material when through this diffusion process. So this accumulated diffusion species, it actually is the change in the diffusion flux from between the two ends, from the inlet and the outlet. So it actually represents the difference between the diffusion flux between the inlet as well as the outlet. So we can express this as Jx minus Jx plus delta X, where Jx represents the diffusion flux at the inlet and Jx plus delta X represents the diffusion flux at the outlet when a distance of delta X is traveled. Okay. So next we will be rearranging this Jx plus delta X as Jx plus dou J by dou X times delta X. We can say the change in this diffusion flux, which is the new diffusion flux at the outlet, it can be written as the diffusion flux at inlet plus the change in diffusion flux when it is traveled at delta X of distance. So we can write it as Jx plus dou J by dou X times delta X. Okay, so we are rearranging it in this way. So when we are expanding, we can say Jx minus Jx, again when we are taking that minus sign inside, minus dou J by dou X times delta X. So the Jx and Jx will get cancelled each other. Then finally we will be having a reduced form, which is dou C by dou T times delta X is equal to dou J by dou X times the delta X. Okay. So here we are including the expression for the flux, diffusion flux, which is J from the fixed first law of diffusion, where J is equal to minus D dC by dx. So we are replacing the J with the fixed first law of diffusion expression. So the equation changes to dou C by dou T equal to minus dou by dou X of, instead of J we are writing minus D dou C by dou X. Okay, so when we are rearranging it, the minus and minus sign will get cancelled. The final equation will be dou C by dou T equal to D times dou square C by dou X square, or we can say dou C by dou T actually represents the change in concentration with respect to time, which is proportional to square of concentration gradient, or dou square C by dou X square. Okay, and D actually represents the diffusivity. So which is the final expression for the fixed second law of diffusion, where dou C by dou T is equal to D times dou square C by dou X square. So we can say the change in concentration with respect to time, it is proportional to the curvature, or the square times of the diffusion of the concentration gradient. Okay. So we have discussed the different types of diffusion mechanisms, various factors affecting the diffusion process, and also the laws which is governing the diffusion. First one is the diffusion process in the steady state flow, or the steady state diffusion equation, or we can say the fixed first law of diffusion. And the second, we consider the fixed second law of diffusion, which actually is defined for the unsteady state diffusion or non-steady state diffusion process. And at last, we are considering the different applications of this diffusion process. By definition itself, we have discussed that it is a material transportation phenomena. Diffusion is a material transportation phenomena, and it also depends upon the temperature of the species, or the temperature of the diffusing species. So one major factor which affects the diffusion or the rate of diffusion is the temperature of the diffusing species. So diffusion plays an important role when the material is processed at a higher temperature or a elevated temperature. So the various applications where the diffusion is found is, the first one is the melting and casting process of any material, any metals or any metal alloys. So because this phenomena is taking place at a higher temperature, the melting process inside the furnace and also the casting into the required shape, this phenomena is taking place at higher temperature closer to the melting point of the material. So the diffusion plays a very vital role in the solidification process of the metals as well as alloys. Second application is the sintering process. Sintering process is one of the major phenomena which is taking place when we are making the material or when we are manufacturing the material through the powder metallurgy route. The melting and casting route is one type of manufacturing process, and powder metallurgy is another manufacturing process where we will be having the base powders of the alloy. We will be making this base powder into required shape by applying suitable pressure as well as temperature. This application of temperature is called as the sintering phenomena. So in powder metallurgical components, the sintering process, which is taking place at higher temperature, normally well above the recrystallization temperature of the material, the diffusion is having a significant role in the material transportation or the sintering process. Okay, material transportation during the sintering process. Okay, which is the second application of the diffusion process. The third one is the surface hardening process. Examples like case hardening, nitriding process, or carburizing process. This is actually a phenomena in which material in which we will be increasing the hardness of the material over the surface only. So interior will be having the required material property, the previous material property will retain, and the outer surface will be hardened when compared to the inner region. Okay, depending upon our application. So in certain environmental conditions or certain application we will be requiring a very hard surface, but the inside or the core will remain soft, or it will be having the initial material property itself. So this particular phenomenon is called as surface hardening process. Mainly it is taking place in steels. So these carburizing process, nitriding process, or the case hardening process, these processes are actually examples of this surface hardening process, in which what we will be using is we will be diffusing or we will be making certain other material which is hardened material to diffuse over the surface of this particular steel. So at a higher temperature we will be trying to pass certain other material in different forms, either in solid form or liquid or gaseous form, passing over the surface of the material, for which we have to improve the hardness. So during the surface hardening process or surface hardening treatment process, diffusion plays a vital role. So the rate of this thickness of the hardened surface, it again depends upon the diffusion as well as the temperature of the operating conditions. Okay, so the next example is the doping of the semiconductor. Doping process actually will be providing an impurity atom into the material to make the variation in the electronic property of the material. Either we will be making a p-type material to n-type or n-type material to p-type. Such processes in which we will be intentionally adding impurity. That impurity atoms are called as doping. So doping process also is getting influenced by the rate of diffusion. And next application is the oxidation of aluminium. Okay, oxidation of aluminium or the corrosion in the case of steel, iron or steels, that also is influenced by the rate of diffusion. Next, different bottles which is manufactured out, the PET bottles used for storing the beverage or another different types of chemically reactive materials. Also the surface will be making little hard, as in the case of the surface hardening process. So here also we will be having a important factor of diffusion which will be taking into consider. And again another important part factor is that in these beverage bottles we will be placing the carbonated beverages. So this carbon from the inner species will also tends to diffuse through these bottles or the bottle walls. So there also it is having a application for the diffusion. So these are the various applications for diffusion: melting and casting, sintering process, surface hardening of the steel, doping of semiconductor, oxidation of aluminum, and the application in the beverage bottles. Okay, thank you.